You know when you're a teen? Adolescent?
Adolescent.
Adolescent.
Yeah, record it.
Don't make me laugh, stop it. Okay. Today, our science team from the Tornado Tamer Project is out in the field, about to chase a storm south.
Mimi, you look so unreal right now. Mimi, shadow.
My diction crap. You can cram it up your ass. The orders were for your protection.
Wo hast du das gefunden? Habe ich dir erlaubt, meine alten Sachen zu sagen? Whew. So what were your Christmases like?
Oh, wow. I don't have much family, so.
So I'm currently reading 3 books and they are so good. So I actually have a good habit now of just reading 1 book at a time, and that's been really good because in the past I had like 20 books that I was reading at the time. So I finished those books and slowly I like had this new habit of like actually finishing and reviewing books. And I am going to come up with new videos next few weeks of like the books that I have read and haven't reviewed on my channel. So I have to do May and June and July and August, and then obviously September I can do it next month. But yeah, that's for next week. But for now, let's talk about what I'm currently reading. First, I'm reading The Dangers of Smoking in Bed, a short story collection by Mariana Enriquez, which is an Argentinian author, so this is a translated fiction. This is so grotesque and horrific, more so than her first short story collections that I read of hers, and I just absolutely love it and I'm absolutely devouring it. If you're not shy of like gore and horror and like body horror and self-harm and just like bad people doing bad things, you should definitely pick this up for the fall time. This is so perfect. You could read 1 short story a day. They're very quick and very captivating, and you just like every time you read one more, you're like, how is she going to outdo the previous one, and then she does. So very good. I love this author so much. Then I've been reading Choke Point Capitalism, How Big Tech and Big Content Captured Creative Labor Markets and How We'll Win Them Back by Rebecca Giblin and Cory Doctorow. So this is basically two authors, one I think Australian and one Canadian, talking about like mostly the US market and how it's not really a free market and it's just like this monolithic monopoly that's just like destroying everything, and like how artists and creatives are the ones suffering the most from this. So yeah, it's really interesting. It's really fascinating. Some of it is really kind of hard to get through because that I definitely don't like really know about the market and the market laws and antitrust laws and whatnot, but I am learning a lot and I am highlighting things, so I will be going back through it and I will be reading stuff online as well. And this was actually also blurb by my favorite, you guys already know, my mother, Margaret Atwood. She said, Choke Point Capitalism tells us how the vampires crash the party and provides protective garlic, and that's very much accurate. So it's basically how companies like Amazon, Google, Apple basically protect themselves, and like no one can go into competition with them because they will get sued, and then they have laws that just protect their own selves and then pretend that they're protecting their audience or like protecting their consumers, which they're not, etc, etc. Very good book. Highly recommend, especially in our digital age. I saved the best for last, and it's Mary and the Birth of Frankenstein by Anne Eckhart. And as you guys know, I read Romantic Outlaws this year and I fell even more in love with Mary Shelley and Mary Wollstonecraft, and that like shattered me when Mary Shelley died. I don't know why, like it got me so emotional and so tied to her. And this is about Mary Shelley, and it actually has a dual timeline, which is amazing. We follow Mary Shelley during the year without summer, where she actually comes up with the Frankenstein story, and we also follow her when she goes to Scotland in 1812 to visit the Baxter family, and how she like gets involved in that family and how she has a best friend, Isabella. Although this is fictionalized, it's pretty much very accurate, but it's like you're missing the kind of like the emotions behind the biography, kind of like the daily happenings. Or I think the author captures really well Mary Shelley's essence and also her relationship to like Byron, to Percy Shelley, and to her stepsister Claire. It's very, very, very apparent that this author really knows her shit, and I'm very much enjoying this book so much. Like I'm highlighting almost every like page because the writing is just so beautiful. And right now we're following Mary as she is grieving the loss of her first child with Percy. They had this little girl called Clara, and she dies, and now they have a second child, a son called William. Spoiler alert, he also dies, but I don't think we're going to see that in this book, but that's from what I remember. So I think she loses two child that are actually, you know, that are birthed, and then she loses one on a miscarriage. And then the fourth child that they have is the one that survives, and it's the one that is called, is he called Percy as well? I think he's called Percy as well, but I don't think this book is going to cover that. This book is just going to cover, like it says, Mary and the Birth of Frankenstein. And it's interesting that the author chooses to go back to Scotland, because Scotland is where they have all these like myths and legends that, you know, in Mary's adolescent, how do you say that? Adolescent? Adolescent. You know when you're a teen? Adolescent? Adolescent. Whoa. English. Okay, so when you're in a teen, you kind of come up with these like stories in your head and, you know, expectations versus reality. And then Isabella is also like very intrigued with like ghost stuff. Basically, the author is bringing every element together that will fuel what has become the story of Frankenstein, from her grief and her loss, grief of not ever meeting her mother, the Baxter's family and their tragedies, and their myths and retellings and whatnot, and how it all will fuel her creation. And it's funny because like when we're in Switzerland, which is the present day, it's written in third person, but then when we go to Scotland, it's written in first person, which makes just the story even more engaging that type of stylistic decision really helps bring the narrative all together and actually see the connection. When Mary is grieving, it's very hard for her to be in her body, so it would make sense that the author chooses to recount it that way. Anyways, I can gush about this for the next like hour, so I'm just gonna stop. I'm gonna continue reading. I'm almost halfway through and I'm just devouring this and loving this, and this is filling a little bit of that gap that Romantic Outlaws has left inside of me. I'm so obsessed with Mary Shelley and Mary Wollstonecraft. I have like a whole section here of them and the people that were involved with them. So I have Byron poetry, I have Percy Shelley poetry, I have Godwin, which was Wollstonecraft's husband and which is actually Mary Shelley's father. I have, who else? I have obviously John Polidori, which was the doctor that was following Lord Byron around, and he was also involved in that, you know, ghost story competition that created Frankenstein. And yeah, I just have my whole collection here, and that's something I want to get through this fall season as well, so I'll talk more in depth. Maybe I'll film like a video that's strictly about Mary Shelley and Mary Wollstonecraft. We'll see, but I feel like not many people talk about Mary Shelley besides talking about Frankenstein, but she has also written other novels like The Last Man, which I'm also wanting to read, and then you have Mary Wollstonecraft and the contribution by Mary Wollstonecraft, that is also very important. But yeah, I just geek out when it comes to these two Marys, and I will continue to geek out in future videos. So yeah, those were the 3 books that I'm currently reading, currently finishing up. Please let me know what you're currently reading, currently writing, currently watching. I have been back in my movie kick, so I'm going to be filming videos that are strictly about movies. So if you're interested in that, you're in luck. If you're not, then just skip that video and come back for the bookish and the writing videos. Okay, I wish you well. I wish you're happy. I hope you're following your dreams. I hope you are taking care of yourself. I hope you're establishing boundaries. I hope you're reading great books and much more. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye!